Yeah, I mean,
Swift, we about to take off.
hey, please do remain calm. About to run against it and with a little bit of soul, no times.
All right, welcome to Please Remain Calm. I'm Ben Gonzalez.
And I am Daniel Gonzalez. As always, folks, the opinions expressed here on the Please Remain Calm podcast are our own. They do not reflect the opinions of the Los Angeles City Fire Department or the Los Angeles County Department of Health Services.
So don't snitch on us, you rats. All right, we're back. It's been a minute. We're trying to get into a flow of getting regular shows again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's like God doesn't want us to do regular shows, man.
If both of us are available, then the studio is not available.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like
or
something
if both of
happens.
us are available and the studio's available, the guests we're trying to line up aren't available that day, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Not to mention the fact that it has been pouring rain for like a solid month and a half now.
It's a monsoon in LA.
Which is crazy for LA, man, because it has not been raining here at all for years and years and years, dude. Like we've been in a crazy ass drought in California.
Right. And it happens right when you're trying to put in a pool.
Oh my God, dude.
So
let me tell
There's
you,
no rain ever until this fool digs a hole in his yard.
I'm glad you brought this up.
Water then, right? It's
Dude,
already in there.
Right?
Let's introduce Hooper, and I'm gonna tell you this story. It's like a 5-minute story about my pool.
Yeah, then we'll get into Hooper's story. Our guest today is a comedian, America's Got Talent finalist, and now survivor and 2-time guest, Alex Hooper.
I wasn't serious enough the first time when I come on. Oh, anaphylactic shock? Is that the closest you've
Give
been
me
to
something
death?
real, man. Give me
Let's
something
go.
real.
You know what's funny too is because the episode before you was Sophia Alexandra, and she was doing her cancer story. She's a breast cancer survivor, and then you were after it, and now it's like one upper.
Yeah. I'm gonna up her for sure.
Is he our first 2-time guest?
No, Tony came on twice.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
So look, before
we have a lot of friends with tragedy.
Before we get going and into Hooper's story, you brought up my pool, right? We decided to put a pool. We've been like doing an addition to the house. My wife and I took out a HELOC and the whole nine, and added a bathroom, expanded our garage, did this whole like construction deal at our house. We had some money left, so we're going to put a pool. We got a small backyard, so we're filling the whole backyard with the pool, right? So the pool contractor comes, he's like looking around, measuring and stuff like that. And our contractor that did the additions, he goes, "Hey, you guys are putting a pool," little Mexican dude, right? He does great work. His like crew they come early, they leave late, all that shit, hard workers, right? He goes, "You guys putting a pool?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Hey, let us dig the hole for you." So I'm like, all right. So I asked the contractor, I go, "Do you subcontract that out? Like, can my guys dig the hole?" He goes, "Yeah, go ahead, man." He goes, "I'll knock $5,000 off the price," right? Because he had quoted us $75,000 for the whole deal, finished pool and spa. So he goes, "I'll knock $5,000 off. That's what I pay my guys." So I'm like, okay. Tell my contractor, I go, "Hey, if you can do it for $5,000, man, you got the work." So he's like, "Yeah, no problem." So they show up, him and his crew, but they show up with shovels. And they start digging with shovels, right? And I'm like, I've been researching pools and like, pool contractors and stuff like that.
You do like a groundbreaking picture.
Yeah, well,
of your ribbon
dude.
shovels.
They're in there with bobcats, right? And they're dig the hole, and the walls are bam, and the angles are 90-degree, right? And it's like really, really specific. The slopes up into the deep end, all that shit, right?
Yeah.
So whatever though, man. It's his work, do your thing. So they're showing up a week, 2 weeks, and the hole's slowly going down, right? And probably 4 weeks pass, and I had already paid him the $5,000. And he goes, he calls me. He's like, "Hey, I'm really sorry, man. I'm really embarrassed, but this is a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. It's costing a lot more than I thought." And I'm like, "Fuck, dude. How much more do you need, man? Keep in mind, you asked for this freaking job." And he goes, "I need $1,500 more. And then that's it. If it's more than that, I'll just eat it." So I'm like, fine. Write him a check. Two more weeks
you
pass.
have like 3/4 of a hole.
Yes.
In the
yes.
yard, right?
2 more weeks pass. So we're talking like 5 weeks they've been working on this hole, right? He calls me and I'm at work. He calls me and he's like, "I'm done. We're all done, man." So I'm like, I come home from work. I look at the hole and I'm like, this shit does not fucking look finished. Right?
Yeah.
So I call the contractor and I'm like, "Hey, can you come send your excavation guy to check out the hole and make sure it's good?"
Yeah.
So his guy comes, he's looking around and stuff like that. And he comes up to me with like this like serious look, like he's about to fucking break my heart. Right. And I go, "Dude, just give it to me. You know, what's going on? He goes, well, you're going to concrete your whole yard, right? I go, yeah. He goes, okay, well, right now your dirt is above the slab of your garage. So he goes, so if you're going to concrete everything, your whole yard needs to go down at least 4 inches. Then he goes, if your whole yard goes down 4 inches, then the bottom of your pool needs to go down 1.5 feet because it's not deep enough right now as it is.
Right.
At the very, very end, it's deep enough, but you're supposed to have 7 feet of flat in the deep end, 7 feet of flat in the shallow end. And he's like describing all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, all your walls are crooked. I have to fix all this stuff, right? So I'm like, fuck, okay. Just do the work, man. Fix it. $12,500 later.
Ooh, more after that?
Yes.
Ooh.
So I spent.
You're in like 20 racks.
I spent $18,500 for the fucking hole, man. For the hole. Yeah. So then, and this is, I'm almost over it. So then, whatever, the hole's done now, right? And it's right. So the rebar guys come and rebar the whole thing. The electrical, the plumbing, all gets put in. And the inspector has to come to inspect it before you could concrete it all in, right? Mm-hmm. The day before the inspection, the contractor calls me. He goes, hey, they canceled the inspection. I go, why? He goes, well, my contractor's license expired.
Oh, come on.
I'm like, are you shitting me, man? He goes, yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. I'm gonna get it fixed and we'll get back to it. So about a week passes and he calls me and he goes, I got my license back. I'm rescheduling the inspection. The day before the inspection, it starts raining. And it was at like 2 weeks of nonstop, like torrential rain.
Ark rain.
Right?
Yeah.
Yup.
So because of that rain, now you can picture this hole with the rebar the size of the pool. All 3 walls of the deep end of my pool, the dirt collapsed.
Yeah.
So now it's in this matrix of rebar and we can't do anything about it till it stops raining. It hasn't stopped raining for a month and a half.
Damn.
So yeah, dude, it is crazy. This rain is like a nightmare. It's a nightmare for work. It's a nightmare.
When did you originally start breaking ground on the pool?
Like the second week of December.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the last week of December.
Yeah. So
like
we're in 4 months.
I just think, who cares that we don't have any water in California? This man needs a pool.
Yeah, tell me. Come on.
Yeah.
Forget all your problems.
So the backyard is just like a mud pit with
it's
like rebar
it's a
sticking out.
muddy disaster, dude. Right now, it's actually a little bit scary because like the addition that we put, there was maybe like, I don't know, 3.5, 4 feet of dirt
clearance
from the house to the actual hole. That whole thing collapsed.
Oh.
So now the addition of my house is like, we had to short up a little bit because all the fucking dirt was gone. And you can't even like pack it in or anything yet because it keeps fucking raining.
It keeps raining, yeah.
This feels like that scene in Pet Sematary when they all start coming out of the pool.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's exactly what it feels like.
Like poltergeist. Like you don't know what's happening in the back of his yard. Yeah, dude.
And then it'll fill, it rains so much that it'll fill up so it looks like a pond almost in the back there. And then we got to wait. He comes in and pumps it out. We think it's going to be cool to start working on it again. And then it starts raining again.
See, then you're going to finally finish it in like a year. And your kids will be like, I'm not going in that shit.
Yeah. That's the only thing I went through.
Cursed.
I don't want
that's been life in Los Angeles for like the past month or so. It's been making work crazy too, man. But
I believe it, man. It's crazy. Like they say, like people don't know how to act in the rain in LA. We can act in a day of rain.
Yeah.
But yeah, not sustained.
This is like
right?
This is like Washington. This is like Pacific Northwest weather.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I read today it's the 11th atmospheric river of the season. I was like, what the?
That's crazy.
I didn't even know that term until like a month ago, and now we're in the 11th one.
Right.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be like 2 more coming or something.
Is it?
Yeah, I think there's at least like 1 or 2 more storms
nightmare,
after
man.
this storm, dude.
It's a nightmare.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow. Wild, man. All right. Let's get into Hooper's story.
Uh-oh.
If you remember, I think it was episode 25, maybe 24.
I don't know how
now
he
we
does
got
that.
a lot.
We were so young then.
Yeah,
I know,
babies,
right?
just babies.
We were in the pandemic. We were, figuring out things to do. Alex Hooper, comedian. We talked a long time about the LA comedy scene, how we came up, how we met. We've known each other for, like
a decade.
10 years probably now. Yeah. Yeah. We've been on great shows together. We've been on shitty shows together.
Don't talk about your shows like that. Come on.
What's it called? But yeah, you came on to talk about going into anaphylactic shock.
Yeah.
Back then, and it was a funny story.
Yes.
Because the paramedics got in a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that shit. That was like the only time we've had that where the paramedics were like going about.
They were
about to
so
throw.
angry at each other. Yeah.
Yeah, where it was like you said that you felt like one guy slept with the other guy's wife or something.
Yeah,
There was a serious
I'll
personal.
never forget one of them like hitting me with putting an IV in, missing the mark, and going, "You bleed like a stuck pig, boy." And I was just like, "I'm dying right now. Can I not be compared to a farm animal?"
Dude. So wild story. That was after AGT, right? Did you do AGT again?
It was, so I've done 2 seasons of AGT. The anaphylactic shock happened when I was 17, but AGT I did in 2018 and 2020. I don't know when that episode
I think it was right
came
around
in
the time, yeah, because it was definitely, I think it was like toward the end of 2020. So it might have been right after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys are listening at home, Alex is the AGT roaster, is basically what you became known as. He was already a roast battle. You were the champ or you were a finalist?
I was a champion in like
for the comedy store, for the club one, right?
for the comedy store for over a year.
Right.
I went to New York and like defended my title, and then I was on the TV show for 2 seasons.
That's right.
Yeah. Roast battle.
Yeah.
Roast battle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as professional of a roaster as you can be, Alex has done it. Anything you do in roasting, he's done it, including roasting the entire AGT cast.
3 times.
Yeah. The entire panel shredded to pieces.
Yep.
And you got all X's?
The first time, yes,
Yeah.
except for Simon. But the second time, they actually moved me through to the
That's right.
to the live shows, and then I was able to do it again. And so, total 3 performances on the show. Very proud of all of them for different reasons, because they were all honestly nightmares. For a comedian,
Yeah.
everyone had different scenario, had a different situation that made it awful to perform for.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm very proud of what I've done because it just kind of showed that I can adapt to any situation that proves to be difficult like that.
Sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So especially live TV in front of 10 million people. I've never tried these jokes in public. I have never, I haven't performed in 6 months because of the pandemic.
Right.
All the lights are on. I have no audience. Like everything about this scenario is like, you can't fuck this up.
And they're not there to see comedy specifically, right? It's such a wide range of shit that
and
people
no
are there
one
to
is
see.
there during the pandemic season. So I'm literally like, hey, Sofia Vergara, wanted to hear why you're ugly? And even my brain is going, don't say this to these people. And I just look like an asshole because there is no audience to laugh at the jokes.
Yeah.
I'm just up there in like
Just bagging on everyone?
Yeah, in like a rainbow fur coat, just like, oh.
And you already went through it.
Yeah.
And got like skewered and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's fucking wild, dude.
Yeah, it is.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you think you had challenges as a comedian, this dude has overcome anything that you can think of, basically.
Yeah, I keep getting slapped in the face a lot when people are just like, they give me an opportunity and then they just obliterate me. And that's kind of like everything. I mean, that's what we're about to talk about.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah,
like,
that's what we're leading into. Because then, you have the success on AGT. Now things are rolling.
Yep.
And then God comes at you with one more.
I mean, go ahead.
So last, it was last summer, I think, August.
Yeah, it was the end of August that I got diagnosed.
Yeah, and I ran into you at the Improv, in the lab. And we talked a little, but you hadn't said anything yet.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. So I knew that you knew then, and you were kind of like I guess waiting on how you're going to share this, basically, right?
Yeah, essentially, because I've been going through testing for 3 months to figure out exactly what it was. A lot of people ask how I knew to go get tested. My lymph nodes were so swollen and they were not going down. Like my neck expanded out and I could feel these giant lumps in there. And it actually was really I got married in April of last year. Beautiful ceremony down in Puerto Vallarta. Then we went to a couple music festivals, and at both music festivals, I ended up feeling like trash. I just was and I was tripping really hard on acid at this festival at the end of May called Lightning in a Bottle.
Right.
And I was tripping and listening to this music and dancing, and I couldn't stop feeling, and I was like, something is wrong here. Something is, and the drugs were kind of alerting me to
whoa,
you got to focus on what's happening right now. You can't ignore this. And as soon as I got back from that festival, I scheduled a doctor's appointment with my PCP. She looked at me and she goes, I think you have lymphoma. You need to go get tested right now.
How long of a duration of time was that from when you first noticed, like, hey, what the hell, something's up, to when you actually saw the
I kind
doctor?
of noticed in a little bit before my wedding, which was at the beginning of April.
Yeah.
So I kind of was like starting to feel these things, but I thought it was some kind of staph infection because of my eczema that was just causing my skin to deteriorate. And then I was like, okay, but the lymph nodes are swollen because that's what happens when you
Sure.
get infection.
Right.
And so I was like, that's what it is. And then they just
You're
didn't go down.
rationalizing like kind of the best case scenario what it could be.
For sure. And I just didn't assume that it was anything more severe than that.
Sure.
And so but I knew I didn't feel right and I needed to go do something about it. And 3 months of testing came down to what I eventually found out was stage 3 Hodgkins lymphoma, which is, at 37 years old, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
That's a tough pill to swallow. Yeah.
Now I have to kind of sit in the fact that I have cancer. And I will say this. It was a relief when they told me that I had what kind of cancer it was, because all of that testing, right? All of the blood work, all of the biopsies. I had a bone marrow biopsy.
Oh, shit.
That shit is the weirdest pain I've ever felt in my life.
Really?
Because they use lidocaine and
Right.
they go through your hip and you lay in your stomach and they have like nurses holding you down because it is so intense. But like it is a pain that I cannot describe. It's in your bones.
Yeah.
There's
kind
no
of feel it
numbing for your-
vibrating, huh?
Yeah, there's no numbing for your
So
bones.
they're going through your hip, like to get to your femur.
To get to, it's not, I don't know if it's your femur because it's like your femur would be down here, right?
No, it's like your pelvis.
It'll, like end here. Yeah.
Maybe,
But that's where
yeah.
it's from?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe that is what it is, or your hip bone or something like
Yeah.
that. But I mean, they have to stick this giant needle through your bone
Yeah.
to get there. And then it turned out I didn't even have, that would be stage 4 if they
Yeah.
had found it in there.
In there.
So I didn't even have it. And I was like, you mean we didn't have to do that? And they're like,
Exactly.
no, we did.
Yeah. Got to make sure.
We got to know. Yeah. And that was, as soon as I was diagnosed, I was like, okay. And they told me prognosis is very good, 95% cure rate.
Oh,
Here's
wow.
what we're going to do. Chemo every 2 weeks, 12 rounds, 6 months. And I was like, okay. And I was a little more just like comfortable with it all when they told me this is what it is. Here
Yeah.
we go. When you don't
Right.
know, that's the worst.
Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
'cause that's the thing. You're starting out like, okay, we think it's lymphoma. There's multiple kinds of lymphoma.
Yeah.
And if that's for sure what it is, because there's other different kinds of blood cancers you can have too that would have the same reaction.
Yep.
So it's like you're looking at 10, 15 different things possibly.
Yeah. And they
And
thought
they
it
all
might
have different outcomes.
They thought it might be stage 4 head and neck cancer. They were like, which when they told me that, I was like, oh, so should I just fuck off right now then? And jump off a cliff?
Yeah.
Like, and they were, it's still kind of, it's so weird to think about that this was only 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Really, 6-7 months ago.
Yeah, last summer.
That all this happened, the end of the summer. And then and so I started chemo pretty much immediately. And thrived through most of my chemo sessions. I was having no side effects whatsoever, a little bit of fatigue here and there, but I would like do chemo and then go play tennis.
Really? Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like
Damn.
fine. I was doing shows all the time,
remember
talking
that,
about
yeah.
it. Like, and people were like, "Don't you have cancer? What are you doing?" And I was
Right.
just like, living my life. What I'm supposed to be doing, And then it just, should I talk about where it all fell to shit? I mean,
I was gonna say, because that was like toward the beginning, but then I remember like you went in for like over a month, right?
Yeah. So what happened is, one night I have a chemotherapy session on a Thursday, my 4th session. And a couple days later, I started feeling really shitty, like just very lethargic. It was the first time I'd ever canceled a show, and I canceled my whole weekend. I was like, I can't perform right now. I can't do this for other people. And I go to get a PET scan and I'm feeling so out of it. And I go to my doctor's office and he just says like, you should go do this PET scan, then go home, take a Vicodin and go to sleep. You really need to sleep this off.
Yeah.
I do that. go to sleep at 4. I wake up at 8 p.m. I'm in the bedroom. I walk out, walk to our kitchen. My wife's sitting on the couch watching TV. I walk to the kitchen, take off my pants, and just start taking a piss in the kitchen. And she's like, Alex, no, what are you doing? Not there, not there. And I'm like, oh, sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. And then so I stop peeing, walk into her office, and just start pissing all over the wall. At which point she's like, Alex, what the fuck? What is wrong
are you
with
conscious of this while it's happening? Okay.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And so I take off all my clothes. I've peed all over myself and all over our apartment. And I just sit on the toilet. She calls up a couple of good friends of ours and is like, they're like, okay, we're coming over right now. When they got there, and this is all pieced together through what they told me.
Sure, yeah.
I was standing up and they were like, go ahead and sit down. And I was like, how? And they were like, well, you're in front of a couch. Just go ahead and put your butt down. And I was like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
So they were very concerned, took me to the emergency room, and I didn't know my own name. I didn't know what year it was. I couldn't answer any of the doctor's questions. And so they admitted me, and I was kind of like a little bit conscious through this, but again, mostly it's because they've told me what happened over the next few days because I was really out of it. It turns out when they put in the portacath, so a portacath, obviously you guys know what it is, but like basically it's a little chemo port that they install under your skin in your chest right here so that you can just go on living your life and you don't have to have one of these guys, little PICC line energy that's on the outside of your skin.
Right.
2 months after they did that surgery, it got infected and ended up causing a 1 centimeter vegetation in my heart, which then spread to my brain, causing multiple emboli at the same time.
Whoa.
So what was happening was I was stroking out, and I didn't know that. Nobody realized that I was having a stroke. And when I got to the hospital, they figured out that I had sepsis. And I didn't really know what sepsis was. They were looking at me. They told my wife to brace herself because this is incredibly serious.
Yeah.
Basically that
You're talking about a systemic infection, basically.
Yeah.
right. Basically that you might die.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize at the time, but like even still 1 out of 5 people that get sepsis die from it in this day and age. This is how my whole body swelled up. My blood turned to poison. I had a stroke. And then I woke up in the hospital like, okay.
Because typically when you have sepsis too, it's not just like, oh, I got sepsis. You know, you have other things going on in your body.
Sepsis,
Well, because your whole body, your blood stops basically working in the way it's supposed to.
Sure.
So nothing is getting in there. Like there's no nutrients. There's no, like, it just, your body's not reacting the way it's supposed to. And that began my 33-day stint at Hollywood Press.
Wow.
Which when you go into a hospital, you just think, cool, I'll be out of here in the morning or whatever it may be. They were like, you're going to be here for a little while. And I didn't know what that meant, but for the first 2.5 weeks, I couldn't even get out of bed. I wasn't allowed to leave my bed. I had a catheter to pee in.
Yeah.
I was unable. And it was just, this is like around Thanksgiving. It was like the middle of November. And I had Thanksgiving in the hospital. This is...
Did they have you in the ICU there?
No, I wasn't in the ICU. I was just, I was in a regular room.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The first couple days I was in a shared room, which then they got me to a private room. I don't know what happened to get me to a private room, but all I know is no matter who I shared a room with in the beginning, they wouldn't stop screaming. Maybe they just kind of like
Press, dude.
It's Hollywood Press for you.
That's Hollywood Press where homeless people go to scream. They told me that because I would talk to nurses. I'm like, what happens here? And they're like, it's winter, so people come in here just to get a reprieve from the weather, and a lot of them have mental health issues, and this is what happens. And it was just like, it was so many things all at the same time that I still don't think I've processed really what happened to me, because that whole month in the hospital, it's pretty much a blur. It feels like I was in there for 3 or 4 days when in fact I was in there for 33, because every day becomes the same. And there's certain things that I had my first enema in there. Very, very exciting stuff. You know, when a beautiful nurse, a beautiful, like East European nurse is like, okay, are you ready? We're going to open up your butthole. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, you better be ready.
You got to be ready. It was, so scary. People thought I was dead because, first of all, I'm pretty responsive on social media through text and things like that.
All of a sudden,
I
you
had
disappear.
shows that suddenly I wasn't at, and I wasn't answering my phone. I was out of it.
Yeah.
I spent 3 weeks off my phone,
And people knew you had cancer at this point.
People knew that I had cancer because I announced it pretty public. I was very public about it. I made like a YouTube video when I first got it.
And you were good about progress updates and everything. Like you were posting, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because I wanted to be, my whole thing when I got cancer was I want to be transparent. I want people to understand that, yes, this is a very scary diagnosis, but it doesn't have to be. And you can put some levity in it. And I was just trying to show, like, guys, look at this. I'm playing tennis, I'm doing a show, and I had chemo yesterday. That can be you, you know?
It's a lot of people overlook that too. The having positivity and trying to stay, positive about your health or about whatever's going on in your life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Looking at it, saying, damn, this sucks, but okay, what's the positivity that I can pull out of it? Instead of going the other way and, going into a depression. Why did this have to happen to me? You know what I mean? How much that can affect you either getting better or getting worse.
Well, that's the thing. So I was in a depression and like in a very deep depression and anxious state when I was doing all the testing.
Yeah.
Because I'm just going from doctor to doctor.
Sure.
Nobody knows what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Right.
When they told me, I was like, okay, flip your attitude, go the other way, go the way that I feel is just within me to just be this like illuminating presence and just try to have people not be scared for me.
Yeah.
And that was so important to me. And I still think my attitude is what has really driven me through this whole thing. I mean, there were a couple times in the hospital where I was like, all right, pay the check, guys. Like, let's go ahead and call this.
Yeah.
Like, I've lived a pretty good life up till now, but if this is what it's going to be, fuck this noise.
Yeah.
Like, this sucks so bad, just living in a hospital. And
Except for the enemas.
yeah, except for the enemas and except for the Dilaudid, there was pretty good. I was on every
Did you have
2
a pump?
hours. No,
Oh, okay.
they wouldn't give me a pump, but every 2 hours I was allowed to get another dose. So I was pretty much just like high, flying, flying through.
And Dilaudid, like,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, it is 4 times more powerful than morphine. And I started off with a 0.5 dose. It got to a point where I was up to a 2.5. And I thought that was like a limit. And then I talked to another nurse. They were like, no, we can go up to like 4, 4.5 if we really have to.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do I need to do to get that 4.5, baby? I'm trying to trip
I'm a
up
veteran
here.
drug user, okay?
Yeah, I know what I'm doing, okay? I've had 9 substances in my body at the same time before. We're talking about 1 right now.
Come
I
on,
can
come
handle
on.
it.
How long had you been with your wife before you got married?
Like 18 years.
Oh, okay. So you
A
guys
very
have been,
long
You guys
time.
have been through some life together.
Yeah, it's just, this is what's so funny is like we have been together for so long. We decided that we eventually want to have a family, so we thought, okay, well, we should get married then, right? And we had really not had any major issues until we got married, and literally as soon as we said I do, it was like a cavalcade of shit just rained upon us, and it just kept getting like worse. And we were like, I was literally like, what happened here?
Yeah.
Like, why is this the first 6 months of our marriage? Why is this the first year? Why is everything coming down on us at the exact same time? Because while I was in the hospital, my dad unexpectedly died. So I barely was able to process that.
Shit.
Because I'm like, they were like, hey, you're going to get out of the hospital tomorrow. My dad dies that day. The next day I go, hey, so am I getting out? They're like, well, we did an MRI and we need to do a knee surgery. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. And they were like, no, we found a torn meniscus. It looks very old, and a torn ACL, but it's a very old injury. But I need to get in there and drain that knee because the edema is not getting out of your right knee. Like I had gained 15 pounds in the hospital, all from swelling up, not from food or anything. And so then he's like, you're going to be in here another 5 days. So now I'm like,
trying to grieve.
I lost it. Like
Sure, yeah.
I just was like, what? Where is any joy whatsoever? I'm now stuck in a hospital. You have to go in and do a knee surgery. I've already had an infection from the last surgery you guys did. And it wasn't, here's the thing. I will say this. It's not their fault that I went septic. It is not their fault that I got an infection.
Right.
I happen to have the most extreme case, whereas that's kind of a theme throughout my life is everything I do, it doesn't have moderation.
Yeah.
Everything is pushed to the extreme. My eczema has always been like a 10 out of 10. Everything I do is like a force.
Yeah.
And cancer got in me and was like, listen, we're going to be a terrible cancer, just so you know. Then cancer wasn't bad, so I was like, oh, that wasn't bad at all. And then it was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It like, came out of the shadows like, wait for me.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, you kind of like powered through, but you had like comorbidities, in a sense, of the allergies and the other issues you had health wise growing up.
Yeah.
So you probably shouldn't have powered through. You know what I mean? But you did, and then it came for you in the form of that infection.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought, okay, maybe my energy is so positive that I am just blasting these cancer cells right out of me along with the chemo, because I was still like doing meditations every night. I was exercising every day.
Yeah.
I was eating well. I was doing all the things that I was like, should be helping my cancer cells drop off me.
Yeah.
And then when this happened, it just felt like it all coalesced into this horrible event. And that was, the most miserable period of my entire life.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, that was the scariest part of it for everyone else too. You know what I mean? Like, you were gone.
Yeah.
Because the whole time you still posting, and Alex posts a lot anyways. Like, you do the daily lollipops. Like, you're staying in people's face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good. But yeah, then you were out for a month.
Yeah, I had people were hitting up my wife and just being like, is Alex okay? And then she wouldn't respond because she's dealing with my family, her family, all the other, the most important, the closest people to us. She's having to do all that while still do her job. She owns a business and visit me in the hospital every day. And so people just assumed the worst.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry for anyone I scared in there.
Yeah. I was kind of busy,
when you
though.
posted the video though on day 31 or whatever it was, and said, "Hey, like, that was a big relief, dude."
Oh man,
I was like, "All right, cool, he's good, he's okay."
I was so scared to do that when you because I was just like, okay, now the transparency is very real and coming through, and people are about to see me in a very weakened state. And that scared me a little bit because I'm known for just having bouncing energy and good energy is I like to think, I like to think that I, make a place better when I walk into it. That's my mentality, is like, provide good energy to all these people, leave them better than you were before. And then all of a sudden I'm just like in a hospital gown. My hair looks like shit. My beard is like half grown in, which I never had a beard before. This was a little present from the hospital. But I was just like, hey everybody, so here's what's happening.
Yeah.
And when I look at those videos in my phone, I get scared.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen myself like that.
Yeah. Right.
And it was just such a terrifying thought that I was like, whoa, how long is this going to take me to bounce back from? And that was really scary.
Do they continue the chemo when you're in the hospital being treated for sepsis and all that stuff?
They had to stop. No. So my oncologist was like, oh, this is like the worst case scenario because now we have to stop the chemo because you're already so depleted of what you need inside your body from the chemotherapy that then the sepsis comes in. They're like, oh, we can't risk this. Right. So I had to take off chemo for 2 months, which I thought was going to prolong the entire experience. But fortunately for me, I am such a stubborn bitch. I'm so resilient that I was like, no, I don't accept this at all. I don't want to feel this way. And as soon as we can get me back on chemo, I want to do it. So I started, as soon as I got out of the hospital, I was on a walker. I was hopping on one knee because I was so weakened. I had intravenous IV drip of antibiotics 24 hours a day. So I was attached to a fanny pack for a month that couldn't take off of me.
Yeah.
And it was so bizarre to me that I was in this weakened state that I was like, what do I need to do to strengthen myself? I need to this is a mental game right now. My body is weak, but I can't let my brain think to accept defeat in any way.
Yeah.
And so I was hardcore on my physical therapy and everything. And now it's less than 3 months since I've been out of the hospital, less than 3 months. And I'm hiking Runyon a couple times a week.
Oh, wow.
I'm, going out. I'm doing push-ups every day. Like I'm doing my exercises still. I am so committed to leaving this shit in the past that I will do whatever it takes to get there. Because I think the worst part of having something like cancer and sepsis and all those other things, it's horrible for you. For the person going through it.
Yeah.
I think it's worse for the person directly adjacent to it.
Sure, yeah.
You know, the person taking care of you. My wife has already been told, hey, brace yourself. He might not survive this.
How many times?
Yeah, exactly. And so she's just she's terrified. Her family is terrified. My family is scared as shit. And the whole time I was going, look, if I die, I don't give a fuck. Whatever. I'm fucking die. Like, I don't know. That's where I am. I've never been afraid of death. I'm afraid of my health deteriorating to a point where I cannot be the person that I am.
Sure, yeah.
That's what I'm scared. Actual death, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I won't know. So I didn't really care. I was just afraid. I was like, God, this is not the part of me I want to project.
Sure, yeah.
I don't want people to see this side of me, but also I'm kind of glad I did make those videos even when I was so weak, because it allows me to realize how far I've come.
Sure, yeah.
Totally.
I was having a really shitty day yesterday, and I just I had an opportunity that felt that, these people got me all excited, then it didn't work out. What happens in our lives all the time. I opened the door and they were like, opportunity, and then they just kicked me in the face, and I was like, didn't love that. And I had to forgive myself all day because I was going, Alex, 3 months, not even 3 months ago, you were laid up in a fucking hospital about to die. Like, calm down. Yeah, dude. I mean, Ben, you obviously know me pretty well, and Danny, you know me a little bit. I go hard when I do things. I put all of my focus and energy into my projects, into my comedy and all this other shit. And this year, my whole thing is I need to learn how to be a tortoise. The tortoise wins the race. He goes slow, but he's methodical. Yeah. He's thinking. He's looking at the things around him that he's passing by. He's not just running as fast as he can with no direction, which is what I think I was doing for a very long time. Right. I was like, the harder I go, the faster I go, then the better chance of success I will have. Yeah. And then this made me realize I'm glad I did all that stuff. I'm glad I went so hard, but now calm the fuck down. Yeah. Please remain calm, Alex.
Yeah. And I'm sure even the the rejection or whatever, losing opportunities, you just did your biggest project. You're in the middle of your biggest project right now. Staying alive.
That's what I have to tell myself.
Everything kind of just pales in comparison to you've.
Yeah, I have to give myself grace,
dude. Yeah.
I have to let myself heal. And I'm like, well, shouldn't stuff be happening? People know what I just went through. It's like, yeah, people are also probably a little timid to hire you for things because they know you're still in this recovery process. Right. Yeah. And you need to allow other people to catch up to where you feel you are, to where I feel I am. And I think that's the biggest thing is just even though I feel great at this point, I have a lot of energy, that doesn't mean that somebody should be like, oh yeah, well, let's just put him on TV or a TV show right now. Let's just give him this bigger thing, because I do need to let myself calm down. My ambition is getting in the way of my healing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's the other thing too. It could be a thing where people can worry that if we give you too much right now, it's going to pop, basically. You know what I mean? You might not be able to handle it yet because you've got so much you're doing. And
that's how all these things happened at the same time. It almost made it easier to deal with because so we had the cancer. In the same week I got diagnosed with cancer, my wife and I found out we were pregnant.
Oh, wow.
Right? So we were like, whoa, what a fucking week, right?
Yeah.
Like this is motivation for me to get better. Like, yes, let's get better. We have a baby coming, our first one, this is huge. And then we went to our first doctor's appointment with our OBGYN and found out we had a miscarriage. So I was like, okay, well, this is the worst fucking day. And now, and then so when it just, then going septic, going to the hospital, having my dad die, it was like, sure, bring another one in.
Everything.
Stack up the plate. I'm at the all-you-can-eat buffet of fucking tragedy right now.
Seriously.
So I just want to keep going back and scooping more.
Yeah. And you're a newlywed the whole time.
And I'm a newlywed. And this is like one of these things. And my career was going great before this.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, that's why I still think I haven't processed it all yet.
Yeah.
Every year on Christmas, I do a solo psychedelic trip, like a pretty good hard dose that lets me think about the last year, have gratitude for everything I've done, all the things I've built in my life, and also be ready for the next year and look forward.
Yeah.
I didn't get to do that this year. And I am very much, it's calling to me right now because I'm not doing it until I get this pick line out because I don't want to look down and go, oh my God, that's right. I'm fucking dying, dude.
Right.
It's standing up looking at you.
Yeah,
I'm on an eighth of mushrooms. I'm like, oh yeah, life is short. But I do need that cleanse of that purge of everything that has been inside of me. I need to feel these feelings harder than I have because I still don't think I've grieved what I need to grieve.
Sure,
and to the extent.
You're in the middle of it still, dude. You got to go home before you can, process the war.
It's hard for me to you're exactly right. But it's hard for me to accept that I'm still in the middle of it because I still feel like I feel like I've climbed out of it, but I know I haven't.
Yeah.
And I have a PET scan in 5 days that will let me know whether or not this thing comes out of my arm and whether or not we can stop treatment altogether. And I mean, I had my last treatment a week and a half ago, and I brought in a bunch of treats for the office. I brought in Portos for everybody. I basically just I took a picture with all the nurses, the staff, the doctors. I was like, guys,
damn day.
I'm out of here. Like, and one of my chemo nurse was like, what are we going to do without you? And I was like, you'll figure it out.
I don't care.
There'll be another one.
I didn't realize this. Like, talking about my energy, I was a force of happiness in that oncology office.
Yes,
because
dude.
I would come in with a great attitude. I'd be cracking jokes. I'm always in a good mood. Like, I don't let it get to me. Whereas most of the people that they're dealing with are terrified and sad and angry. And I was like, I'm not going to show you guys any of that. I'm going to go the other way.
You got to wonder too how much that, or just going in there with that type of attitude, helped other patients that came across you in the same situation.
I think I was annoying.
You know? Yeah, but you never know how, you know what I mean? Just like you're going through it and you're dealing with all the internal struggles of why is this happening, all that stuff. How do I get out of this? Am I going to get out of this? All that stuff. Everybody goes through that, and not everybody has the positivity that you have. Yeah. So you that's one thing that or like when I have interns at work or something like that, I always try to tell them, like, you never know how much your attitude is going to affect somebody else that you run into. All these patients that we deal with throughout the day, if you come into a situation with a bad attitude and you exude that on the call, you first of all, you're not going to get a good attitude from your patient, but you're going to create a bad experience for this person who's already having a bad experience, Yeah. Even if there's nothing that you can really do for him, at least having a positive attitude, putting his hand on their shoulder, telling him it's going to be okay, might be the little bit of positivity that happens in that guy's week or month or whatever.
Yeah. And that's what I would I tried to show that appreciation to the nurses and to the doctors and the hospital staff. Every time they had to come in my room, I was like, I don't want to be the person that is needy. I don't want you to be hitting my call button all the time. And I want you to let you know that I'm so grateful for all of you. That's because I could hear people screaming at them, you fucking bitch, you fucking give me the fucking medicine. And I'm like, they don't need that shit. Yeah. They have kids, they have families, they have other things they want to be doing, not this shit. Yeah. So at least show them that you are so happy that they're there. And I think that was so important. And now it's really funny because now I've become like this martyr for cancer, where all of these people are hitting me up going, oh my God, my dad just got it. And I want to show him your videos because you were so positive throughout the whole thing. And I accept that role.
Yeah.
I'm not thrilled about it, but I do accept that, like, okay, if I can make you feel better by just making a silly video, then, or whatever it may be, I'll, good. Okay.
Are you getting cameo requests for like cancer stuff?
I had to turn it off for a while. I turned off Cameo for a while, but now when I opened it back up, I haven't gotten any requests specifically for cancer stuff, but I do think that's going to come pretty soon. I think people, it's one of those things where I hope it doesn't, because I don't want people to get cancer just so I can make $40. But I will give them that light in that moment.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They might not necessarily need or I guess it is jokes, material, just whatever it is that picks people up. You know what I mean? Whole reason they come to you on Cameo anyway.
Well, it's been a really fun stand-up challenge too, because telling people something like, oh, I have cancer right now, everybody, people are squeamish. They don't know what to do in that situation. A lot of people didn't think they thought it was a bit when I first started doing it. And I was like, no, I wouldn't make that up. Hello. Mwah. But it was one of those things where this challenge has been talking about something so real and so scary that does touch everybody. Cancer is unavoidable. Yeah. You're going to get it, or someone very close to you is going to get it. And I wanted to be a person that was not celebrating it, but was not shying away from what was happening inside of me. And I think about Norm Macdonald. I thought about him a lot, because Norm Macdonald, when he died, everyone found out he had had cancer for 10 years and no one knew, which, okay, that's one way to go about it. And I thought about just hiding it. But then I thought, well, what if I do get weak? What if I do lose my hair? What if I can't hide from it? Right. And that was when I was like, let me just get in front of it and tell everybody what's going on. And that way I can be more honest with myself and I can create more from it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You hear about soldiers that go to war creating these like really strong bonds and friendships and relationships that last, throughout lifetimes. Do you feel like everything that you've gone through, your dad, everything with the cancer, losing the baby, all that stuff, strengthen your relationship?
With my wife?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so it's really funny where I kept saying, hey, till death do us part. We didn't know we'd come this soon. And she always reminds me, we never said that in our vows. We didn't say till death do us part. And thank God we didn't. But I do feel like I do feel like she stepped up so much. Yeah. She didn't have to visit the hospital every single day. She didn't have to be like this, run a business and be a point person for every single person that needed to know what was happening to me. Yeah. Our love has increased so much because we've never been that close to something so severe. Sure. Yeah. And that really, it was terrifying, but it also let me know, like, I'm so with the right person. Yeah. Right. Someone that is with me, because she's seen me through my worst. She has seen me. I wasn't always this positive person. I was used to be an angry fucking piece of shit. And she has guided me through to heal myself for so many years that this is just one more step of her being there with me while I do heal. Yeah. And this is part of giving myself the forgiveness as well, is I'm like, this person has to live with me too. And if I'm stewing all day in misery because of circumstances beyond my control, that's going to affect her. And that's not fair either. Yeah. So I want to be there for her. I want to be there for our future children. Like all of these things are motivating me. She's a huge factor of why I think I have bounced back as fast as I have, because I didn't want her to take care of me. When I got home, the ride from the hospital after those 33 days, when I got in the car and she was taking me home, I'm not sure I've ever cried harder in my entire life. Yeah. She had to tell me, you got to breathe. Cause I was like, the sun was shining. I hadn't been outside in a month. Yeah. And I was just losing it. And I knew, I was like, I don't know what it's going to take for me to get better, but whatever it is, I have to do it to an exponential degree to make sure that she's not taking the brunt of this any more than she already has. Because this isn't what any of us thought for our first year of marriage.
Yeah.
This is not what we fucking thought about. And we've both shown how strong we are throughout this. And I'm really fucking proud of us. I really am.
Man.
Likewise.
I look at her in the same way I always did, with just the utmost love. But now I'm like, you're a fucking warrior.
Yeah.
Right?
We are warriors,
Yeah.
you know? And that's, I don't wish this on anybody, but I will say, like, it has strengthened my story a lot.
Yeah.
It's forced people to like me even more than they already did.
Like it or not.
Yep.
You're getting the pick line out though, possibly after this pet scan
That's
goes well.
That's the idea, is that they're gonna see where we are. All the scans have come back good so far. You know, and so I'm done treatment. So for scheduled treatments anyway. So when this thing comes out of me, that's gonna be the real celebration, right? Hopefully it will be out in about a week. Because I still, even though I do feel good, I can't feel healed looking at this.
Of course.
Sure, yeah.
You know, I just can't. So every step has gotten me closer. When I got the IV bag off, God, that was a huge day. It was insane when they were like, oh, you don't have to wear that anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, take it out immediately, you know, unhook me, dude.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, a PET scan it shows cancer hotspots basically in your body.
Yeah, they're gonna do with the, what do you call the dye?
Contrast.
Contrast. Thank you. Yeah, the contrast. They do all that stuff, and then they're gonna see. But I don't feel like I'm pretty aligned with my body. I'm pretty in tune with it. I do, like, you know, I'm very balanced. Like I do, and I meditate and things like that. And I've been like really talking to myself throughout this process, and I feel like the cancer is gone.
Yeah.
So I really hope I'm right.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, and it's hiding in there, or like suddenly went dormant or something like that, it will reappear. Okay. But I feel like I don't have it, and my energy is really good right now. And that's the main thing I'm going on.
And then when's your anniversary?
April 9th.
April 9th.
And we leave. We're going to Japan for 2 weeks on April 10th.
Japan.
Yeah.
Awesome. I was about to ask what you're doing.
Yeah, we are seriously owed a vacation.
Yeah, right? That's what I'm saying, dude.
We are like, and my wife was like, Alex, like, this has been the worst. Where do you want to go more than anywhere? And it was Japan. And so we're doing 2 weeks, and I mostly vacation, but I am headlining one show, and then I'm judging roast battle out there.
Yeah, I was going to say, they got to know you from AGC in Japan too, right?
Yeah. I'm already, when they announced my shows in Japan, my show in Japan, tickets already started selling, and I was like, oh, great. I sell better fucking across the world than I can in my own fucking country.
They're going to bring you kimonos.
I hope so.
Yeah, this is fucking cool.
I can't wait. And I mean, I'm gonna eat everything and just do everything. And I'm so happy that I'm just gonna be walking around all day, and I'm not gonna feel tired or weak.
Yeah.
I don't right now. So I'm thinking about this very, like, you know, logically, where like, make sure you walk 3 to 5 miles a day right now. Get ready for this. Strengthen yourself. Use your resistance bands, because I want my knee back so bad. I want to slackline again. I want to play tennis again. All of these things. And until I'm really doing that at a consistent basis, I won't really feel healed. But my heart feels pretty healed right now, to say the least.
I mean, that's the most important part, man.
Slacklining. I forgot about that even. That was another thing with this guy where he's saying like he does things to the extreme or whatever. It takes things as far as they'll go. Like, you know what slacklining is?
Yeah.
Okay, so slacklining, people at home, it's how wide is a strip?
1 inch.
1 inch strip.
Yeah.
That you just tie between 2 fixed points, and you just walk across it, basically like a tightrope.
Yeah.
And Alex was like, I'm gonna get into this. And he just started filming himself and like posting daily videos of progress slacklining. And then, you saw this fool going up and down, turning around, doing twirls and shit.
Yeah.
Like from barely being able to stand on it. You know what I mean?
It just goes to show, man, anything that the human brain and body is crazy, and it adapts to whatever it is you force it to adapt to.
Yeah, and I feel so at peace when I'm slacklining because I am very good at it, and I can stay on there for, my record is over 3 hours without falling off. I'm just going back and forth. But the biggest thing is I can't wait to get back on it because I know the reason why my knee is as strong as it is because of slacklining.
Yeah.
The reason why I've never hurt myself on the tennis court, broken ankles or anything like that is because of slacklining. And those little tiny muscles get so strong when you do it that I know that's going to be a huge part of my healing process and my progression to getting back to where I was to like sprinting and stuff like that is going to be getting back on there and just holding that balance and feeling that fire inside of me. Because when I get up there, when I can relax, it's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best. I just breathe and I listen to music and I basically dance up there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not only relaxing, but it also is, it reminds me of I'm capable of extraordinary things.
Yeah.
And I have to remember that all the time because especially after they told me I was about 24 hours away from dying. Which is pretty close. Pretty fucking close.
Yeah.
I still haven't come to terms with the fact that I had strokes. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And I want to feel like I can do anything again. I want to feel capable. And I think that was the hardest part is like not feeling like myself and trying to grapple with who I had become throughout this process and how am I going to get back? How am I going to get back?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. All right. Well, before we wrap things up, how are the dogs?
They're great. When they saw me for the first time when I came back from the hospital, so I have 2 pugs. Yeah. One of them didn't know what to do. My little boy, Carlton, he literally just stared at me like,
just uncontrollable snorting.
And just like ran up at me like he couldn't believe it because, you know, for all they knew, I was dead.
Yeah.
They didn't know. My wife's probably going home and crying every fucking night. They're like, oh, God. And they're just like, where's Dad? What's happening here?
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're great. And we're, you know, in the process of trying to have a baby again. Luckily, we froze sperm and, you know, we'll see what happens there. But I project big things for the future.
Hell
I
yeah,
really do.
dude. Year 2.
Year 2, baby.
Maris 2.0.
Oh, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, it's a crazy story, man. I'm sorry that
It's what I wish I didn't have to tell.
Yeah,
but,
I'm sorry that all that happened to you, but you're coming out the other end. Everything is looking up. You know, your story, just like we talked about earlier, the amount of fame that you have and following that you have, to be able to tell your story to those people, you never know what branches and leaves that story is going to reach and how it's going to affect people.
Yeah.
So I think it's awesome that you stayed positive through the whole thing, man. I think it absolutely 1,000% affected how well you have recovered from it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big proponent of our mom, everybody, visualization, positive thinking, you know,
and
all
like
that
bounce
stuff.
back. He got better looking.
Yeah.
You
You
know
look
what I'm
great. And I'm just happy that you're still here, man. And
I will say
with
this:
us.
it takes so much of your energy to be able to think positively in this situation because it sucks. When you're just watching the same shitty TV in the hospital and you're eating the terrible fucking food. God, the worst. I mean, everything about it is screaming at you that your life sucks. And to be able to go, no, my life does not suck. It just sucks in this current moment, but it won't suck forever. And if I get through this fucking time in my life, who knows what's on the other side?
Yeah. Exactly.
Who knows what doors will be open? And now I'm like, okay, people, let me heal a little bit longer and then flood me with your opportunities.
Yep. Now we're about to tear up Japan.
Yeah.
Hooper, where can they find you, sir?
HooperComedy.com for all my tour dates. And then at Hooper Hairpuff on all social media stuff. And feel free to reach out if you have cancer, everyone, because I'm getting it left and right. And I'm okay with being that person right now because I do understand sometimes you just need a stranger to tell you it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I get that. When you can't talk to your family, I'm here, everybody.
And you can get them on Cameo if you want a personalized joke or a shout out and book, right?
Yeah, roast yourself to happiness. I have a self-help book.
Right?
Yeah. In case you are also on the verge of death and need to turn around your life in 28 days, Roast Yourself to Happiness, where I teach you how to make fun of yourself to take the judgment away from other people that you feel. And I think that's what has helped me so much along the way. So I wrote a book about it, and go get it, everyone. It's on Amazon. Roast Yourself to Happiness.
Right on.
You guys can find me at Danny Gonzo34 on Instagram.
Follow me at Ben9Humor, Ben number 9 Humor, like benign tumor, on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow our show at PRC Pod on Instagram and Twitter, or at PRC Podcast on TikTok. You can email us, contactprcpod@gmail.com. We have a Shopify with cool PRC t-shirts. Alex is getting one, and stickers as well, you guys.
Yeah, all that stuff. Please, guys, if you're listening to the podcast, like, comment on the podcast. All that stuff helps us with placement and whatnot.
Appreciate you. Thank you to Petty Cash Studios, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
We'll see you guys.
All right.
Awesome.